Hello students, welcome to ExonMed channel, and in this video we are continuing the model paper which is asked by the PU board examination according to the blueprint given by them. So let us see the possible way of 2-mark question, 3-mark question and 5-mark question, and don't miss this video until the last. So let us start with the first 2-mark question. So the first question is, mention 4 classes of pteridophytes. So here they have asked 4 classes for 2 marks. So you can give Xylophyta, then Lycopsida, then Pteropsida, then Sphenopsida. So we have Xylophyta, Lycopsida or Psilopsida. You can write it as Psilopsida also. Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Sphenopsida and Pteropsida. So if you write these 4, you'll get 2 marks. Next question. What is metamerism? Give example. So metamerism, in some organisms, what happens? The body is divided into external and internal segments. So these external and internal segments are present. The body is divided into external and internal segments. At least some organs are repeated. Example is earthworm. So I repeat, in some organisms, the body is divided into internal and external segments. At least some organs are repeated serially, and that is called as metamerism. And example is earthworm. So differentiate between conjoint and radial vascular bundles. So conjoint, radial vascular bundles. So here conjoint vascular bundles are those vascular bundles which contain xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem in the same radius. If the xylem and phloem is present in the same radius, then it is called as conjoint vascular bundle. And radial is if the xylem and phloem together forming a vascular bundle are present in different radii, it is called as radial vascular bundles. Example for conjoint is stem, and example for radial is root. So the next question, what are mesosomes? Give one function. So mesosomes are the infoldings, or you can call it as extension of plasma membrane. Extension of plasma membrane into the cell. You can find this in prokaryotes. Infoldings or extension of plasma membrane into the cell is called mesosomes, and the function of mesosome is respiration, cell wall structure formation, cell wall formation, as well as division, distribution of DNA in the cell. You can give any one function. Differentiate between inspiration and expiration. Inspiration is the intake of atmospheric air into the lungs or alveoli. It's called inspiration, and expiration is opposite of that. So intake, you can take it as opposite word, release of atmospheric air, actually release of alveoli air into atmosphere. So release of alveoli air to the atmosphere is called as expiration, and if you take inside the atmospheric air into the alveoli, it is called as inspiration. What are plant growth regulators? Mention the types with examples. plant growth regulators are simple, small, simple molecules, of diverse chemical composition. So they are very simple. They are small amount. They are producing a small amount. They have simple molecules of diverse chemical composition. They are called as plant growth regulators. Mention the types with examples. So for the types, you can mention mainly there are two types. One is growth promoters and growth inhibitors. So they have asked even with examples. For growth promoters, you can give auxins, gibberellins, and for growth inhibitors, you can give abscisic acid and ethylene. Ethylene fits for both growth inhibitor as growth promoter. So you can mention growth promoter, one example, and growth inhibitor, any one example. Okay, now we come to 3-mark question. Before going to that, until now, if you are not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe, like and share and support us for doing more and more videos. Okay, let's go with 3-mark question now. So question number 29. So identify the following. So the one which is used as fuel and packing material for transshipment of living material. So it is, you have to identify which one is, it belongs to Bryophyta, that is, it is sphagnum, as it is having water holding capacity. Sphagnum is the answer. And used to grow microbes and also used in the preparation of ice creams and jellies. So it is agar-agar, which is extracted from Gelidium and Gracilaria red algae. Develops directly from a spore in the life cycle of a moss. So when we know moss, there is a stage called as protonema stage. So here the spore germinates to produce a structure called protonema. So the answer is protonema. Okay, next question number 30. Describe the type of flowers based on ovary position. So already we have our answers. Like first one is hypogynous flower, perigynous flower, and epigynous flower. Hypogynous flower is a flower where all the floral whorls arise from below the ovary. So like calyx, corolla, androecium, they all arise. So if this is a ovary, so you can find calyx, corolla as well as androecium is arising from base of the ovary, and it is called as hypogynous flower. Perigynous flower is the flower where the thalamus forms the rim. It grows like this, rim, and from here rim of the ovary you can find calyx, corolla and androecium which is arising, and this is called as perigynous flower. And epigynous flower is the ovary is at the base and all the calyx, corolla, androecium arise above the ovary. So this is called as epigynous, perigynous, hypogynous flower. You have to give the example here. They have asked, describe the types of flowers based on ovary position. If you don't want, you can, this is the option. Just they have asked, describe the types of flowers. As it is for 3 mark, it is best for giving definition, mentioning and one example. So you can give for hypogynous flowers, mustard, china rose and brinjal, and perigynous flower, plum, rose, peach, and epigynous flower, guava, cucumber and ray floret of sunflower. Describe the female reproductive system of frog. So here they have asked describe, not to draw the diagram. So as it is for 3 marks, the first point is it contains a pair of ovaries. The second one, so these ovaries are situated near the kidneys, but they are not connected to the kidney as they are having functional connection with the kidneys. So you can tell the third one, a pair of oviduct arising from the ovaries that opens into the cloaca separately. So these are the 3 points you have to mention for 3 marks. Draw a neat label diagram of cell cycle. So you know cell cycle, you have to draw this diagram with the interphase stage. So this is interphase. So the interphase is a resting period of the cell cycle, but actually there is, when you see the cell, it is looking resting, but inside there will be cell preparing for cell division. So you can divide it as G1 phase, gap 1 phase, synthetic phase, gap 2 phase, and you have to mention M phase, that is mitotic phase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and this together is called karyokinesis, and this is cytokinesis. You have to mention G0 also, where the cell exits from the cell cycle. You have to draw this diagram for 3 marks. So next, question number 33. Explain the role of hemoglobin in oxygen transport. So when you take the air inside from the atmosphere, when it reaches to the alveoli, now it has to enter into the blood. So how this RBC will take the oxygen by binding and by forming oxyhemoglobin. So you can say hemoglobin is a red colored pigment which contains iron, and here oxygen will bind to that in a reversible manner because it has to bind in the alveoli and it has to release that oxygen in the cell. So each hemoglobin molecule carry a maximum of how much? 4 molecules. Imagine this is RBC, it will bind to 4 molecules of oxygen and it forms oxyhemoglobin. And binding of oxygen to the hemoglobin is primarily depend upon the partial pressure of oxygen. Even it includes partial pressure of carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and concentration with temperature. And other factors also can interfere binding. So you can mention 3 points. The first one is hemoglobin is a red color pigment. So second point is oxygen can bind in the reversible manner. How many? You can mention 4 oxygen molecules. And the third one is it is due to the partial pressure of oxygen with the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration and temperature. So 3 points for 3 marks. Next, write the functions of the following. So it's related to the brain. One is hypothalamus. So hypothalamus is the center for controlling body temperature, urge for eating and drinking. And medulla. So the medulla contains the center for controlling respiration, cardiovascular reflex and gastric secretion. And the third one is cerebral cortex. It is the one area which contains or controls the motor areas, sensory areas, larger areas which are not clearly either motor or sensory in function. You have to mention the functions of these 3, you'll get 3 marks. Now we come to 5 mark. So 5 mark, we have a lot of things to write. So roughly I'll be going to this section. So silent features of phylum Porifera. You have to mention any 10 points to this phylum. If you want, you can take the screenshot of this one and make the points 10 points and then read it yourself. Differentiate between cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. So cyclic, non-cyclic. You can make 2 columns. Cyclic photophosphorylation, non-cyclic photophosphorylation. So here the first point. So you remember that this is a part of photosynthesis where there is light reaction, dark reaction. These both belong to light reaction, wherein the first cyclic, the flow of electrons in this system is in cycle manner. The flow of electrons is in this cyclic manner, and here the flow of electrons is in non-cyclic manner. And the second point, so as they have asked for 5 marks, you have to write more points. Here only photosystem 1 is involved, and here both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 is involved. And the third point, here in this cycle only ATP is synthesized, and here in non-cyclic you can find ATP is also synthesized. With that NADH2 is also synthesized. Fourth point, in a cyclic photophosphorylation, you can find this type of cycle going on in stroma lamellae. Stroma lamellae. And non-cyclic photophosphorylation is going in thylakoid membrane. Thylakoid membrane. And the last point is here. In cyclic manner, there is no breaking of water molecules, splitting of water molecules. But in non-cyclic, there is splitting of water molecules. And you can write even another point also. In the cyclic photophosphorylation, there is no release of oxygen. But in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, it helps in release of oxygen. Any 5 points you have to mention. So another one, give the schematic representation of glycolysis. So 10 steps you have to by heart and then write this schematic representation. Draw a neat label diagram of human urinary system. So you have to draw this diagram. As it is for 5 marks, you have to label 10 labelings. So you can go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, any 10 you can choose, but you have to draw this diagram neatly. Next, enlist the synovial joints and write the location of each joint. So they have asked already, they have given which joint, synovial joints, and you have to tell the location where they are present. So synovial joints are different types. The first one is ball and socket joint, which is present between the humerus and pectoral girdle. Second one is hinge joint, that is present in the knee. And the third one is pivot joint, which is present in between the atlas and axis. Fourth one is gliding joint, which is present between the carpals. And the fifth one is saddle joint, between carpal and metacarpal of thumb. So classify the various classes of enzymes based on the types of reaction they catalyze. So you have to mention for 5 marks 5 enzymes. So enzymes are divided into oxidoreductases or dehydrogenases, transferases, hydrolases, lyases, isomerases, ligases. You have to mention with example. So last part where 5 mark you have to answer only one question among the 3. So what are auxins? Explain their physiological effects. So you have to mention these are the 1 growth promoters already we discussed, and their physiological effects. Whenever the plant produces auxin, it helps in rooting in stem cuttings, flowering in pineapples, prevent fruit and leaf drop in the early stages, promote abscission of the older leaves. So you can use, you can write any 5 points, important 5 points, or depend upon the examiner. Actually for 5 marks, if they asked only explain the physiological effects, you have to explain 10 points. But as they have attached what are auxins, so 1 mark for this one and 4 for this one. So 4 points is required. So name the following. Powerhouse of the cell. So we know mitochondria is the powerhouse of cell. Site of steroidal hormone synthesis. So steroidal hormones are synthesized by smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Reservoir of hydrolytic enzymes. So hydrolytic enzymes are present in lysosomes, which are called as suicidal bag of the cell. Packaging units of cell. So Golgi apparatus or Golgi complex. Locomotory structure of the cell. So cell has cilia, flagella. They are the locomotory structures of cell. You can mention any one here. Refer to the ECG of the human being given below, normal, and you have to answer the following questions. First one is expand ECG. It is electrocardiogram. What does P, QRS and T indicates? So we have given P represents for depolarization of atria. Depolarization is nothing but the systole of atria. And QRS complex, this is QRS complex, it represents depolarization of ventricles. After auricles, then ventricles will contract, and the last T wave represents the normal state, which we call it as repolarization. So atrial depolarization, ventricular depolarization, and then repolarization of ventricles. So what is the diagnostic significance of this ECG? How or why it is useful? So ECG is very much important in the shape indicates the if or this is a normal ECG. If there is any change in this, so this indicates a abnormality or disease of that person. So hence it is having a great clinical significance. So last question, question number 44. A sample of urine is diagnosed containing a high amount of glucose and ketone bodies. So now answer the following questions now. Which endocrine gland and hormone is related to this condition? So there is urine detection where it is having high glucose and ketone bodies. So here the answer is it is related to pancreatic disorder, pancreas organ, and hormone is insulin. Name the cells on which this hormone acts. So this hormone acts, see it is secreted by pancreas, but it acts on liver to convert that more sugar into glycogen. What is the condition called? If a person is not having or is having this type of disorder, then it's called as diabetes disorder. And how can it be treated? So by giving insulin to that patient. So this is all about one of the model paper which is prepared according to the blueprint given by the PU board examination. If you have any doubts about this, you can give in the comment box and you will get a reply. And all the best for your exams.